Okay, today I'm going to talk to you and give you a basic overview of how to use the automations and workflows in the CRM. So, as you can see from the sidebar, I went to automation. From here, you're going to be able to see a full list of all your workflows. So, right now, these are all folders, and within them, they have various workflows within. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to one I know I want to work on to show you first. So, first, I'm going to show you one that exists and how to edit things within that. And then we'll go ahead and build one from scratch just to give you a general overview of how that works and how you would select options, etc. So I'm going to edit our missed call text back, but just for a quick frame of reference, all of these are always sorted by name, so either folder or what it is. Status, so right now it's in draft. This is going to be your total enrolled, so how many people have gone through that automation. This is active enrolled, so how many people are actively going through the automation steps if you have multiple steps. And then this little arrow is going to take you out to see the automation or the who's gone through what in full detail. And then as always, these three dots let you rename, move them around, publish, duplicate them, all that fun stuff. But for the sake of easiness, we're going to edit a missed call text back workflow. So as with anything here, you're always going to edit the name of your workflow. You want it to match whatever action you're trying to do. So this one's missed call text back. You can do ones for letting you know when you received a voicemail. I mean, the options are really endless. So depending on what your business needs specifically, you can build out a workflow for pretty much anything. A great tool to actually help with that is to ask ChatGPT or any AI bot, what specific tools do I need for my business in a automated workflow, and they can actually help you build out the steps. But for clarity's sake and purpose sake, I'm just going to talk through each section, how they work. So your automations always begin with a trigger. And what that means is that something happened in order for the rest of these steps to be followed. So the way you can think of it is, okay, I am putting an offer in on a house. What are the steps that follow? So you put the offer in on the house, and then this would be schedule an inspection, get something tested. All these different sub things would follow. So in this case, it is a incoming phone call that was either missed, busy, or went to voicemail. So when you click on this trigger, you can see. So our workflow trigger was call status, hence the missed workflow trigger name. So what's going to show up here? So you always want to name your workflow triggers. Just for clarity's sake, it makes it a lot easier when you're trying to figure out what step you're on. Like if you have like a 20-step workflow, especially if you're sending multiple emails, if you name them by like what the email is. So like if you name it like initial email, follow-up email, last chance email, that sort of thing. So this one was named incoming call, missed, busy, or voicemail. So it tells you a missed, busy, or voicemail, and that triggers this automation. So your filter becomes call direction, incoming, obviously someone calling you, that's an incoming phone call, and the call status, busy, voicemail, or no answer. Those, you want to make sure you're setting your triggers for the actions you want it to act on. So then you're going to always hit save trigger. Here, if you were editing it, so like if you wanted to add in something, if you select from this drop down list, it's going to give you the full thing. So like canceled, completed means that the call connected. So that's a weird little verbiage. So this might be if you want it to be that if you connected with the person, it archives the phone call automatically, where you could use completed or, however you would want that action to work. So, but you always want to hit save on your trigger once you make any changes. And then the way this workflow is going to work. So This one has a delay built in. So all of these steps are the one that follows. So you're always going to have your little plus sign here. And within that, if you click on it, it's going to pull up a list of your actions that you can complete. So this one, there's a slight delay so that it doesn't feel like a bot, it feels like a real person answering. So if you click on that, so you have your action name, wait for, which is a time delay, but you can wait for actions, you can wait for appointment names, conditions, contact to reply, so many different things. But this one's a time delay. It's waiting half a minute. And then once those 30 seconds are up, the next task it's going to do is it's going to assign it to a user. So these users, we can delete those because there's a dummy account. I don't know who they are. So from your list of users, you can see people who are in there. So let's select Mallory. That's me. Or you can assign it to all of your users, however you want it to work. So we're going to save that action so it's updated. And then the next step after that, so it's assigned to a person. You can either have that step or not, totally dependent on your business structure. And then SMS to leads. So this is your action name. This is the text message that's going to them. I have a template that is built in, but normally if you don't want to use a template, you can actually, if you hit none, you can manually type in your message. But I do want to use the one that I had. So I'm going to hit cancel and go back in. So this one, the template that's built in says, hi there, it's my name with our business. So Mallory from Front ROI Marketing. Sorry, we weren't able to get to your call in time. How can I help you? And so this prompts them to message back and hopefully help connect, whether or not they left a voicemail. Sometimes I have clients who want it in there where it says something along the lines, if you didn't leave a voicemail, please feel free to share the details of how we can help and we'll return your call, whatever. It's also a way to preemptively filter out spam. If they didn't leave a voicemail and they didn't text back, then they might not be, as warm of a lead. You can still follow up, absolutely, but there's a chance that it could be spam. And then this last action that this sequence has is push notification to assigned user. So this one, it is going to give an internal notification within the app that you have a missed call from this person. And so it'll show up on your notification screen. And from there, you're able to know, hey, I missed a phone call from someone. I need to give them a call back. If you are a service-based business, the faster you can get back to them, the higher capture rate you're going to have of people, especially if they're calling around looking for quotes. You want to get in their ear, get in their pocket as fast as possible. So let's say we're ready to push this workflow live. You did all the things right. You can do a test of your workflow. So if you hit test, you can go to your contacts. I have some amazing contacts if you can't tell. Select who you want it to go to. So I'm just going to select myself, run a test, and then you're going to go into your email. Always send it to yourself as a test because that's where it's going to go, and test it and go to your email and make sure that it arrived there, looks the way that you want it to, or that it's doing the things it needs to do. If it's sending a text message, all of that stuff. Because some of these things can go on over weeks, but you do want to make sure that going through that things work the way they're supposed to. Under settings, you can see there's some setting options here. So like allow re-entry. So if you want people to be able to keep doing this same task, like once it's left the workflow, it can re-enter that same workflow. So that's totally fine for this. You can also, if you're doing a workflow and once they respond, you want them to leave that workflow and stop the chase. You can stop on response. So if they reply back to the contacts sent, then you can remove them. Always hit save. Now looking at enrollment history, we're going to show Mallory because she went through the workflow test and it will show you who, enrollment reason, the date and time they were enrolled, the current action of where they are. So if it's a multi-day process or something that drips out over a couple hours, you can see where they are in the process, current status, if it's active, if it's finished, next execution on. So the next thing that would follow up, as well as you can view the execution history of the person. So I was added to the workflow, slight delay, wait finished, assigned to user, there was an error there. And the details are that there weren't valid users found. So it's going to tell you what it did. So some of these steps were skipped. I don't have a phone number in there, so it's not sending an SMS to me, unfortunately. But you'll be able to see step by step exactly what happened with that person. You can also go back and see the path here and click on it, but the other one is the easiest way. So let's say the workflow is ready to go. You don't want to click fully out of it like I just did. You can also search up here for if you know what you're looking for, which I knew I was looking for this specific action. So we tested it, it works, everything's great, right? So we're gonna go ahead and hit publish. This is the only way to make it active so that it does those actions when people take this initial action up here, and hit save. And now your workflow has been saved. And when you go back to your workflows, it's gonna show as live. So I know this is on page 2. So now we have a published workflow. We have one person who's been in it and completed it fully, me. And if there were other people in it, this number would be active too. So that's how you go in and you edit and like kind of look around. So we're just going to create a really basic workflow really quick, like a form response one. So we're going to create a workflow. You can select it from a recipe. I always do it from scratch, but a recipe, they have built-in settings of how it flows. So depending on what you're looking for, you can poke around those. So what do we do first? We always rename it. So we're going to do contact form test workflow. So always name it, and we're going to add a new trigger. So here is where all your triggers are. So there's so many things. It really depends on what action they're doing. This is probably gonna be for someone who is digging into their business and really looking to make some changes and automations and that sort of thing. Or if you're doing it all from scratch, all of this stuff. I mean, like I said, the opportunities are endless, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make this trigger a form. So I'm gonna search for forms. You can search, you can scroll. I like to search if I'm looking for something specific. So form submitted, that's an easy peasy one to do, right? So if we click on form submitted, and we're going to rename our workflow trigger, right? So what we want to show up here. So just as otherwise it pulls in just whatever the generic thing is. So we're going to say contact form test submitted. We know what form, and then you can add filters. Otherwise, it's just going to do generic contact forms. Anytime a form is submitted, it will do that. But if you add a filter, you can change your option to like form is, and then you can select your form accordingly. You can add multiple forms if you have like, you just keep clicking on what they are and it'll keep adding them, or to remove them. So like this one, I only want this workflow trigger to happen with contact forms because there's very specific actions related to that specific form. You're going to go ahead and save your trigger as always. So now it says trigger contact form test submitted. So when people contact us, how do we want them to, like, what do we want to happen from there when they submit this contact form? Well, you probably want to know that they filled out a form, right? So you can go ahead and do a notification. And so there's different options. You can have, I would do a send internal notification. And then depending on who you are and how you work, there is uh, an option for selecting what type of notification. You can send yourself an email, a notification in the app, or a text. You can select all three, but you would have to set them up as individual internal notification actions. But you can say, like this one, we'll name it email. So if we select email and go from there, it's going to automatically, if you don't change your from name or your from email, it auto populates those. Select user. So I am sending it to all the users in my company. You can select a particular user. You can select assigned users, that sort of thing. So you can kind of play around with those settings. And then your subject, you received a website test form. I would be very intentional in letting you know what is happening. And then within here, you can say you received a website test form in the Outfront CRM. And then if there's specific things that they filled out and you want to be able to quickly look at this, let's say they filled it out for a sales call, you can add in things that you want to come into your email, like details, so you can do a quick response to these people. And by doing that, so I always fill out what information I'm looking for, name, phone, email. And up here, there's a little tag called custom values. So what you're going to want to do is click that price tag. And then on this list, there's a bunch of different options. So basically these pull information from elsewhere and input it as like an autofill. So if we did contact and we did their full name, so we want the contact's name. We also want their phone number and their email. As long as they filled out that form section, it's going to pull from there, pull it into here, and then it'll send in your email with that information directly. I always just add a little internal note, view the full details in the CRM. So this way, if it's not going to you specifically and it's going to your team, it just gives them a clear direction of what to do. And then you can always test it. So I highly recommend always testing all of your steps, making sure that it's populating information the way that you want it to. Hit send test email and save action. Okay, so now we've notified ourselves internally. Now let's reply to their contact form with an email, or actually let's do a text message. So we're going to do SMS. Text is always SMS. So we'll send them an SMS. So this is going to be something we are sending. So reply, contact, SMS. Thanks for submitting your form. A member will be in touch shortly. Doesn't have to be anything super crazy. You can, again, add in custom values there if you want for adding in their name to make it more personalized. For these, because it is a marketing email and it's not going back and forth contact, I highly recommend always adding in reply, stop to end, because there needs to be a trigger, and these will be built out in every account that we manage, that if they reply stop, it puts them on do not disturb, because that is a legal requirement for bulk text messaging. And these are considered a bulk text message because it's not an ongoing conversation with someone. So, okay, thanks for submitting your form. A member will be in touch shortly. Apply stop to end. Great. You can also test it, test your action. You can add a file through a URL. Most people are probably just going to do a text. From there, hit save action. Now, let's say I had this workflow, it was live, and I'm like, I don't love that messaging. If you click back and open it back up, you can always edit your message and your text in here, unless it's a template, in which case you need to go into your templates to do so. Um, so we did a contact form was submitted. We notified ourselves. We replied to them via text. We can also do an email. So you can do a two-step. And then they will get a text and an email. You can leave those blank. It's your company information. Test, reply. And then from here, thanks, we will be in touch. Again, you can test your action, hit save action, and then this is a very, very basic flow, but you have someone who contacted you, you let yourself know you need to reach out, and you sent them a follow-up contact. From there, you can keep building it out even further if you wanted to, but that is going to be generally what most people do, is a few step process that is totally automated. So you are not sitting around on your phone, typing out an email reply, like rushing to text. And then if you want, at the end, you can remove them from the workflow. And that will take them out of their current workflow that they're in. So you've done those things, and now it won't keep adding them back in. Once everything's good, again, you just hit publish, save, and then now your automations are ready to rock and roll. Some of the other things that you might want to do with some of these automations. So if they did a contact form, so now that this is live, anytime you do a change, you'll have to hit save, but it'll be live and published. Let's say we wanted to add a tag to the contact. Hit this plus sign, add contact tag. So add tag lead, because that's probably what they are. And then select the tag. If you do not have a tag for what you're looking for, so we do for this, but let's say we didn't. If you start typing it and just type lead test, that's what it's going to be, right? You're going to hit add new tag, and it will create that tag if it's not already on your tag list. So we'll change that to lead test. And that way, when you're sorting your contacts, if you're searching for specific types of people in your contact list, it's really easy to find them. You can also add them to opportunities here too for your pipelines if you do manage a pipeline. And we'll do that in a more complex video of workflows, but that is a general overview of how they work. Let us know if you have any questions, and we're happy to help. Bye.